All right. We want to welcome everyone who is listening on today to our first show. We have a very, very, very talented special guest with us on in the studio today. She is going to share everything that she has concerning her journey and her testimony, and it's phenomenal. So our topic today is going to be faith, food, and transformation. Our scripture that we're going to use for a basis is 1 Corinthians 6:19. And it reads, or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have from God, and you are not your own? In the scriptures, we talk about the body being a holy temple, and we're as a holy temple, first thing that comes to mind is taking care of the temple of God. Well, our bodies are the same way. Our bodies are living temples of the Holy Spirit, which is the Spirit of God. So we don't want the Spirit of God just to live in any kind of temple. So it becomes imperative that we come to a place in our lives where we have to take care of our bodies. And part of taking care of our bodies is a great diet, healthy eating. Without further ado, please help me welcome Debra Kennedy. She's a passionate advocate for whole food, plant-based living, whose personal transformation has become a powerful force of change. After being diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, prediabetes, hypertension, and high cholesterol, Deb made a life-changing shift into a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. It also reversed all of her conditions and eliminated medications and losing 70 pounds without deprivation, guys. Through her journey, she discovered not only healing, just healing and hope and joy, but she also teaches food for life cooking class. Deb doesn't just teach cooking, she teaches transformation, one meal at a time, one mindset at a time, and one healthy victory at a time. She's a mother, a wife, an anointed singer. She didn't tell y'all that. So please join me in welcoming Debra Kennedy of Get Down with Deb.
That was amazing. Thank you. It's wow. But my journey starts long before that. Let's go back to childhood, right? Because everything goes back to our childhood. I was always that child who didn't finish the meat on the bones, right? If you really, and I grew up in a Caribbean household too, so we actually had like fish on our plate that had the head and the tail and the eyeballs. It was just like this just didn't work for me. So instead of my parents telling me to finish my vegetables, it was like finish the meat on your plate. So that was always just there in the back of my mind. Like I'm grossed out by the idea of it all.
Right.
My father especially was always into health, so he was always a buzz in my ear
Mhm.
about how to be healthier. So that informed some of my choices, and it wasn't a big transition for me given my history with meat
Right, right.
to become a vegetarian. I would say I was like vegetarian-ish, right? Because I was never 100%. I was like what they call a lacto-ovo
Okay.
vegetarian. So lacto meaning milk, ovo meaning eggs. So I
Okay.
still had those, but I didn't eat actual flesh most of the time. So that's why I say vegetarian-ish. Fast forward to I guess around 2019, I was in like a rough period under a lot of stress. I noticed that I was having just a lot of health ailments started to develop, and so yeah, I started noticing like my throat was like dry all the time. I was like constantly hoarse. I'm doing my YouTube university. I'm a deep dive on everything,
Hmm.
and I realized I stumbled upon chefaj.com. That's
Okay.
a YouTuber. So she has a plant-based podcast focused on whole food, plant-based nutrition, and had all these guests on that talked about how becoming vegan can really just transform your life and heal all these illnesses. And I'm like, well, this is what I need to do.
Okay.
So started implementing all these changes, and I'm starting to feel better. I notice all these changes are starting to go away. I'm not hoarse as much. My symptoms are lessening. I was feeling better.
Hmm.
So fast forward a little bit. This is January of 21.
Okay.
Um, I'd gone to a function, and this time I'm really trying to be vegan right now. So now instead of vegetarian-ish, I'm like vegan-ish. So um, I'm really trying to be whole food, plant-based, which essentially just means that you're eating foods that come from the earth as they are, and they're minimally processed. So I'm
Okay.
trying to eat like this, which is difficult, right? In this world, you have to prepare a lot of your own meals. So it's challenging. Anyway, so I was at this function. I'm like, it's a function. Let me just eat So let me try something new. So they had this paella dish, and I never really liked seafood. I only like had shrimp and fish. That was all I would really eat. Long story short, broke out in this huge rash, hives all over my body, had to be
Oh,
like rushed to the hospital, everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm allergic to seafood. Maybe that's why I didn't have it all these years and I never wanted it. And so I was like, well, is it really seafood or was it just those mussels? Because I've had shrimp my entire life.
okay.
It didn't really do anything to me. So maybe it was just the muscles playing games with my life.
Yeah.
Have had like nibbles of shrimp over the couple months here and there and didn't have any reaction. So
Okay.
I was like, okay, that's it. Staying away from vegan. I'm vegan. I'm staying away from all food. Period. I'm not playing games.
All right.
So about like 2 weeks later, I noticed like my knees were kind of achy, and then my wrists were feeling kind of funny. Just like, it's just weird. Like, oh, where's this ache coming from? Did I do anything different? And I couldn't figure it out.
Mhm.
And then I was on vacation, and like the typical Poland Spring water bottle that you get like in the 24 pack, like a toddler could open that if they really tried, right? You don't have to twist too hard to
Right.
open that.
Right.
And so I was trying to open it at the table and literally just didn't have the strength in my wrist to open it. Diagnosis rheumatoid arthritis. Now, of course, I wasn't so shocked because I'm a researcher. So I had went on WebMD, Google, and I'm like, okay, symptom check, check, check. I'm like, oh, this looks like rheumatoid arthritis.
Hmm.
But and I say all this whole long story to really just talk about how much stress can exacerbate any underlying condition that you have. It's not only about eating healthy. You have to really tackle all the other areas in your life that can cause stress and cause harm to your body, whether it's toxins that you're putting in or, like I said, eating or not exercising.
Listen, I quick question. I want to ask. I know in your testimony that you shared that it wasn't always easy. There were times of temptation that came about. When there were moments in your journey that you wanted to give up, maybe contemplated it a little harder than other times. How did your faith and your support get you through those difficult times of wanting to step back and have those windy fries, as you so put it?
Yeah. Wow. It's funny. Like I said, I didn't have like a why me moment when I was first diagnosed,
Mhm.
because I'm so level headed. I analyze everything, and I'm like, okay, this is how we're going to approach this moving forward. So I didn't let emotion really take over,
Okay.
but it was in those times when I didn't eat right, where I did have a Wendy's fry, or I just kept giving in and I felt like I had no control. And I'm just like, what? This is just not going to work. How am I going to
Right.
do this? The world is against me, right? When we go out there, it is not easy trying to eat like this in the environment that most of us live in.
Sure.
Yeah, I definitely leaned on my faith. Like you alluded to earlier, I am a singer. So the way I connect most with spirit and with God is through song. That's where I feel more connected.
Hmm.
Um, there was a song that by Tamala Mann that I used to sing all the time, "Change Me," if you know that
Right.
one. And that was just like that would just give me so much strength. And going back to Chef AJ, when I was doing the deep dive and watching every single one of her videos,
Hmm.
I there was a doctor that was featured on there who was based in Jersey. He was a primary care doctor. His practice was on a farm, and I was like, wait a second, this doesn't sound real. It sounds like some TV
Right.
stuff, right? Like,
Right.
he sounds too good to be true, and seemed like a really nice guy that you can have a conversation. And I was like, well, that's going to be my doctor, and he's everything that I would be looking for. Like, I need to look no further. He's who it is. So went to the doctor. Amazing man. It's Ethos Primary Care.
Okay.
Amazing Dr. Weiss. He put me on this year-long program, which included like having a wellness coach, completely changing my diet to not only be vegan, but
Hmm.
be SOS free. So the SOS means salt, oil, sugar. So
Okay.
any added salt, oil, or sugar, removing that from the diet. We gave me nutrition education classes that I had to take regularly. So I
Hmm.
felt really supported during this journey. Yeah, on I would say on a weekly basis, it was a roller coaster. The year-long journey was a roller coaster of ups and downs. And
You said something about the SOS. Now, I'm again ex-military, and SOS is a distress signal.
mm,
It's a distress signal, and you said that the program is eliminating the salts. Make sure I'm right. Salt, oil, and sugar.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, SOS, and by eliminating those out of our diet, it seems like our bodies will go under less distress. because the SOS, when those salts, oils, and sugars are introduced into our body, it sends our body into a place of distress. And it's
Absolutely.
literally a SOS, a signal. So removing those SOSs, what it appears to me, based off of what you said, that our body will put our bodies through a lot less stress, or at least, the physical stress, the problems that the sugars and the oils and the salts bring to our body. So I thought it was really interesting. You said SOS. I'm like, well, that's a distress signal. And
Yeah.
that's what I guess our bodies are doing. They're distressing when we introduce those salts, oils, and sugars to our diet. So that was really cool. I like that. Did you come up with SOS, or is
I
that what
did not. I can't
you
take
can't
credit for
coin
it.
that? Okay. Well,
I don't know the origin of it. I'm sure we can do some research on that, but there could be a correlation, that it was intentional, but it just happens to be the three substances that tend to cause issues, especially in our diet, which is they're all of them are high in processed foods, right? That's
right,
out
right.
there. And these processed foods are what's causing some of the issues. So there's definitely a relationship between the SOS and the distress.
And in the rheumatoid, and also something else you said about you couldn't even turn the top.
Yeah.
I have that issue as well, with to the place where I can't even. I would have to get my youngest son, and we used to joke about this a long time ago. That one day you're gonna have to open the drawers in the house because I'm not gonna be able. But that was not something that I thought was going to be happening this early on in my life. So this, what you have, the testimony and the program that you have, is something that I am, without a shadow of a doubt. Earlier, before we started, I told you that this is not something I want to do. This is something now that I have. And
Yeah.
then hearing that you went through basically identically or what I've gone through and still yet going through, it even solidified the fact that I need this program. And
Uh,
I know I'm not just the only one. I'm not the only one. And our goal here is to get it to a place where everyone who's listening can relate in some way, shape, or fashion, that they're going through certain situations. And this particular program, this lifestyle, is what I would like to call it, is something that we all need. We all need it.
so coming to the end of the story, so we're about 9 months into the year-long journey. I was on vacation with my sister. We'd gone shopping, right? And so by this time, like I knew I had lost some weight because naturally I'm going for checkups. So I go to get like a shirt, and I was like, okay, maybe a medium would fit. I'm probably about a medium right now.
Okay.
Eric, I am swimming in the medium. I'm like,
But
no, 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 no. There's no
whoa.
way that I'm a small. Like I haven't seen a small since I was small. Since I was in high school, right? So I'm like,
Right, right.
this is impossible. I go try on a small, and that was even a little roomy. I'm like, this that I think that was like the aha moment. You asked earlier, like when was the aha moment? That's when it
Mhm.
really hit me. And I felt like this flood of like, oh my gosh, I lost like 50 pounds by this time. And I've been trying to lose 20 pounds for the last 20 years.
And now you got it.
With just simply changing the foods that I ate. I had lost 50 pounds by that time. So of course I
Hmm.
went in. I was like, okay, yeah, we're doing this for real.
Right,
For real.
right.
I'm finishing out this year with a bang. So by the end of the year, I had lost 70 pounds, and I was like, this is it. I need to tell the world about this. So after that, I like took a course on just nutrition, plant-based nutrition,
Hmm.
just so I can get a better understanding of it. So that was on top of what my doctor had already taught me through his classes. I went for a certification to become a plant-based coach because I was like, I want to help others, but I want to make sure I have the tools to be able to help
Right,
others properly.
right,
And
right.
then I became certified to teach the classes that you referenced earlier. They're called Food for Life classes, sponsored by this organization, pcrm.org, which
Okay.
stands for the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. And they do so much more than these classes. They educate actual healthcare professionals on lifestyle medicine,
Hmm.
which is that's an additional certification that health professionals can obtain so that they are well versed in nutrition and other aspects of your life and how that affects overall health,
Okay.
which is not something that most doctors and health professionals get in their core education. Right? Normally, if you had an issue with eating, they'll refer you to a dietitian or a nutritionist.
Nutritionist, right?
Exactly. The doctor themselves are not well versed. They'll have basic levels. So doctors can get this additional certification. And it's been amazing ever since. So I got the certification and now I teach these classes which help me get deep into communities that really don't have access to healthcare or don't have access to this particular information. And it's just been life changing, honestly, this whole journey. So I took you through a long journey, but
No, that's fine.
it's been amazing, the journey that I've taken. It's been great.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that because you said something in your testimony that really resonated with me. Because when you said that oftentimes will have to get out of bed and just stop and just defrost in the sense of until you can get everything to moving. I'm dealing with that. I dealt with that really bad in about 2.5 months ago, where my wife would tell you it would be so bad for me that my son will almost have to come and get me out of bed because of I'm an ex-military, so
Okay.
I played rough, and I'm equating this pains in my joints and stuff as my military service and what I did. But I went to the orthopedic and I had almost the same situation you had with your shoulder. But
Hmm.
my orthopedic was a very nonchalant individual, and I didn't really care for his bedside manner, but he was pretty much on point. And so I was suffering with both shoulders, which has now led me to having to have two surgeries, one on each shoulder.
Wow.
Yes, it's terrible. But the thing is, when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind is I have to do that very same thing too.
And recognize what I've accomplished so far, because it's so easy to look at what you're not doing right and oh my gosh, blah blah blah. But I'm
Mm,
like, wait, I accomplished so much. Like I actually can wake up and not be in pain.
mm,
Even though I did just have some French fries yesterday, it didn't affect me like it did the last time I had it. Just starting to realize those moments. So yeah, through song was where I felt connected most to faith and strength and courage. It was rough. It was
yeah.
definitely some days were rough.
That was a wonderful. That was beautiful. And I think probably when you shared in your testimony about when you thought that when you knew you lost weight and you thought maybe you were a medium and then you bought the small and you
Yeah,
were still swimming. So would you consider that to be the most surprising change that through this transition that beyond just the weight loss and the reversal of your conditions, would you consider that to be a big surprise because you thought that you were medium and you ended up being and how when you found out that you were small, was that the moment when you realized that hey, this is serious and this is really work and it's working almost it was obviously it worked behind the scenes because you thought you were medium,
right.
you ended up being a small. So I think that was so pivotal in your journey to see how this is really working in the way it is working. And I don't know, I'm not going to say rapid pace because nothing is really rapid, everything takes time, but it does show that if you commit to the program and commit to the lifestyle change, that you can expect the changes that you went. You
Absolutely.
okay? That's
And I mean, and also I just want to add to that, like it was definitely an aha moment. It was a turning point where my eyes were open to the possibilities of me actually this could really happen. This I achieved so much in such a short period of time. But I think what was most surprising about my change was
hmm
not so much the physical aspect, but it was like who I was becoming, personally, like the way I was showing up in the world. So my health definitely, I noticed physically on the outside, but on the inside, I felt like I was changing. Like I mentioned, I think I said in my story that when I became a Food for Life instructor, it wasn't intentional, right?
right.
I didn't say, okay, now I'm going to go out and let me look for a program where I can teach. It kind of just fell on my lap.
Mm,
I was just on Facebook one day, just scrolling, and this ad came up for become a Food for Life instructor. I'm like, what is that? Never
wow.
seen or heard of it before. And I'm telling you, I've never felt more. on purpose. I've never felt more intentional about applying for something. You had to like fill out a whole long application and give your reasons why you thought you would, you fit this the mold to be this instructor, and
Hmm.
actually record a video showing yourself demonstrating a meal. That's not me. I do not despite despite how I show up in the world, like I force myself in uncomfortable situations, but I do not like being in the spotlight. I don't need anything to be about me at all. But I'm telling you, I finished the application that day, and the next day after work, I recorded the video and sent it off. I've never moved that fast for
Hmm.
anything in my life, and I was like, okay, I'm just being pulled. I'm being led to do this. Didn't even know, didn't think far ahead of what it could be, but I just knew like this is something, this would be great. And what's beautiful about the program is that it's actually it's actually designed by nutritionists, dietitians, and physicians. So
Hmm.
I'm really just the instructor. The curriculum is there, and I just facilitate the classes and integrate some of my life experiences. So I was like, oh, this is turnkey. I don't have to develop all these classes and teach it to people. It's already there for me. So I think that was the surprising moment. Me feeling like, okay, I could stand at the front of a room and teach. Like again, I'm an introvert naturally, so I do not want to be up front. But like I
Right.
said, I just felt more led and compelled to do this than I think I've ever felt in my entire life about anything. So I knew there was a change that was happening on the inside, not just outwardly.
Hmm. And yeah, and even our pre-production meetings that we had, we both alluded that we are not in front of the camera type people. This
Right.
is not something like right now, you guys. I just want you all to know, y'all are really getting a stretch because this is not what we do. But we were so compelled, and Deb was so passionate about her journey, and she's passionate about this program. She's passionate about plant-based healthy eating, and we just couldn't deprive all of you wonderful worldwide listeners this opportunity to hear that there's change that is readily available and accessible to you. People have, in order to make a true transformation, it has to be something that the person wants to do. If you force it upon them, they will not take it. They're not going to respond to it as though they have skin in the game. But
Exactly.
if they want to make a transformation and then taken upon hearing your testimony and the ups and downs that you had to go through shows hope. And most people want hope.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They don't want, a lot of us want the magic bean or magic pill,
Yeah.
but for the most part, it's hope. Hope that I can change, hope that I can obtain a lifestyle that will enable me to enjoy life again physically, not just mentally and spiritually. So your testimony and your journey gives us hope. That's an honor in itself for the Lord to have chosen you to promote healthy living. Hearing what you poured out to all of us helped me to put this thing in a perspective where now I think I know which direction I need to be looking. So I'm not completely in the dark. So next time I talk to my healthcare, these are some of the things that I'm going to bring up. And
Perfect.
again, it's all about resources, it's all about information because when you have information, you have power. When you have power, you can change them. Again, what you shared is the first time I've heard of this particular change, which is a lot less expensive than doing some of the other stuff that I was
Yeah.
looking at the doing. And not only that, but you have control over this because you can choose the individual items that you eat. Whereas with medication and other certain things, you don't have any choice. It's what they provide, and that's it. You don't do it, you just don't do it.
Yeah.
But one of the things I love most about this is I can do something, because it's going to be a process of choosing what you like, what foods you like and what ones you don't like. So you can choose and you have options. And
There's
anytime,
variety. There's so much variety in
there you
plant-based eating.
go.
Absolutely.
There you go. For those who are watching, you can scan the QR code or you can email her at info@getdownwithdeb.com and also getdownwithdeb.com, the website. So I'm leaving this up there for a minute for those who want to just get that information now. For someone who's listening right now, who's
Mhm.
inspired but they're a little bit overwhelmed, what's the very first step you would give them to take today?
I would say the first step is to focus on adding. in more healthier foods. Forget about the guilt, forget about the shame, forget
Hmm.
about even taking anything out of your diet right now, because that can be overwhelming, thinking that you can't have your favorite, whatever it is, pizza, let's say. But take an evaluation of what you are eating. You can do a 3-day diary and look at what you actually put in your mouth every day if you don't know off the top of your head, and look at it, and it's probably very likely that you are not getting enough nutrients, that you're not getting enough plants, food, fruits, vegetables, legumes, grains. Probably you're not getting enough of those, and just start to add something in. Take one meal like breakfast and say, okay, I'm going to make sure that breakfast is always going to be plant based. Let me have oatmeal instead of my bacon, egg, and cheese that I normally have in the morning, and just do baby steps like that. I think what you'll find over time, you're going
Hmm.
to have less cravings for those bad foods, let's call it, and more of the better foods will slowly start to creep into your life, and you'll want more and more. So just start with one meal.
On a spiritual note, how has changing your diet impacted your prayer life or your ability to hear the voice of the Lord and overall your spiritual walk? We want to simplify it. How does changing your diet affected your spiritual walk today?
That's a wonderful question. So obviously the diet has affected my body on the outside, but it definitely has affected me on the inside. And I would say clarity, I feel like, is the biggest thing that I've noticed. My brain is just more clear. I'm not focusing on being, inflamed and in pain all the time. The noise has settled, and just I don't have that brain fog, and I think that's opened the door for me to be more spiritually connected, right?
Hmm.
And I think that the biggest example I talked about, when I became a food for life instructor, and I just was felt led. I was being just pulled over into to applying for this program and doing this work. I definitely think my spiritual connection with God has just deepened, and I can hear more clearly. Obviously, my prayer life has heightened. Right, I think that's what happens when you have some type of illness. All of a sudden, you're on your knees a lot more, right, talking to God and asking for help
Yep.
and support. So that is definitely deepened through this entire walk.
Special guest,
Oh,
Debra Kennedy, for joining us on today. Deb, you were absolutely phenomenal. And this
mm.
is only the beginning. We still have a part two that we are going to be taping here very soon. And it was just wonderful having you on today and everything that you shared. We just thank you. Thank God for you. We thank God for your testimony and all that you have for us. And we're going to put this back up here real quickly. For everybody who's watching, please scan the code for more information or email Deb or go to the website and see what she's talking about for yourselves. Please take the time out just to read the information. Health is wealth, and we want to share this wealth with you, and we want you to be able to share this wealth. Look at the information and make a choice today to have a more healthier life and a more healthier lifestyle. And again, we just thank God for our sister, my friend, my sister, the absolutely health phenomenon, Miss Debra Kennedy. Deb, is there any shout outs that you want to give, acknowledgments you want to share with everyone before we close out?
Oh, I just want to thank first Pastor Armstrong for really helping me kick off this program at the church, using the church as a foundation for this program, where I really got to hone my skills, right, and feel more
Amen.
comfortable. I want to give a shout out to you. Thank you so much, Eric, for reaching out. Like, we've never met in person all these years, but as soon as we spoke, there was definitely a connection. So I'm so happy that we were able to connect today and make this thought become a reality. And
Yes.
just to everyone who's attended the classes, that have encouraged me, to let me know that even when it was difficult, because this is, I call it a part-time gig, right? I still have a main job, so I do this in my spare time. But
Hmm.
just encourage me to keep going because it's needed, and the reception has just been wonderful. And so I just want to thank everyone who has been so supportive of this mission and giving me the strength and the courage to keep moving forward.